This is a presentation of National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasters, 70 weekly shows, and a 3.4-star rating on Roku TV. Check out nessp.info for direct links and deals on the site BetUs for 125% off your first three deposits in NFL and college odds for upcoming games, Major League Baseball and NBA futures, and boxing wagers. Also, check out Fanatics, sportswear for your favorite teams, and also network merchandise, retro, Northeast Streaming Sports, National Streaming Sports, Big Football, and the Mac and Jack Sports Show t-shirts. Coffee mugs are coming soon. Check it out. It's Wednesday, folks. How you doing today? Welcome to the National Streaming Sports Professional Sports Show. I'm your host, Mac. We'll be having our other host coming in pretty soon. Hey, Daniel, good to have you aboard right away. So coming in soon, we'll have James Martin. That's with us every Wednesday. Keith Angle, who will be with us also. Also, CJ DeSimone should be coming in too. He's scheduled to come in. But, it's interesting that tomorrow night, we start football. And as you saw, if you go to our website, nessp.info, you can make your bets. You can make bets during the game. And, of course, you have Friday, Sunday, and all the college football shows coming up. So be sure to check out that link out. In fact, at the top right-hand of your screen, all you got to do is put your mobile phone on there, scan it, takes you right to the site. So, again, glad Daniel jumped in right away from Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, and let's get her going. So Baltimore is going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And Kansas City has had their number. Let's face it, in the playoffs, championship, Kansas City always finds a way to beat Baltimore, the Baltimore Ravens. And, of course, Patrick Mahomes, for the most part, comes from behind against anybody and everybody. So how do you stop the Chiefs from doing that tomorrow night? I don't know if you can. I really don't. And Patrick Mahomes is so in charge of that offense. It's hard to stop him. And he's got a lot of new receivers out there now that he's been working with all year. And he's been playing preseason just to get in tune with the young wide receivers. They want to go deep again. They want to be able to have that quick strike capability to put them back in the game or put them ahead. And that's really what he's been working on all preseason. Kelsey's getting older. And not that he's not still effective. He is. Kelsey's still effective. Still a great catching tight end. But to open it up, to be able to come back without, doing 10, 15-yard outs or over the middle plays, to be able to hit that big play is very important to the Chiefs in the past. Last year, they did it different. They had a strong running game, a good defense, a very tough defense, a very underrated defense. If you look at it, in fact, we got the Philly sports guy in live from Brazil. He went flying today. Let's take a minute. Let's talk to Pags here real quick before the other guests come in, as we'll continue talking about Baltimore. How you doing tonight, Pags? You're partying, I heard.
Yes, tonight's a party, and we're here. There's probably about 70 strong. I would have one Brian Baldinger sitting probably 20 feet away from me.
Wow,
he's a party animal as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I imagine you're gonna leave the comfort zone of Rio. You're gonna head to the game tomorrow. Is that right? You're gonna fly in tomorrow, or are you taking a bus? How are you getting there?
Yeah, we're going to fly in tomorrow. Now, no bus. It's like a 5-hour bus ride, so 1 hour flight. So we're going to take a flight over, and we're staying just outside the city, and get everything ready for Friday. Friday has been, this has been a vacation, and it's been great. And you've seen all the things that I've done. I've done everything from run for governor to run down the beach, and also now I went paragliding today, so
Nice.
I'm living my best life. I am living my best life. I just danced with the Carnival dancer here just a little bit ago, so I'm having a blast.
That's great.
All
That's
those
great.
people that
Pags,
thought-
are you?
Yeah, all those people
ahead.
that thought that Brazil was so bad, no, we've had a great time here. It's been 100% safe. It's been 100% awesome.
Pags, the thing that people are worried about, including the teams, because the teams aren't happy because they're going to go to a hotel. They're going to have to stay there. They can't go out sightseeing. They're worried about the gangs. Of course, putting people in green jerseys made a lot of sense by the NFL when that's a gang sign. Are you worried at all going into the stadium or coming out of the stadium that maybe – are you wearing green to the game?
I am going to wear green to the game. And I know that everybody's scared about it. Truth of the matter is that, do you know the national color of Brazil is green? So I'm not worried about it even a little bit. Not even a little bit. There's been green that's been worn in the stadium before. They are not allowing anybody with soccer jerseys in the stadium. So if you're a fan of the Corinthians, you're not able to wear that jersey into the stadium, or the opposing team as well, because they don't want any of the shenanigans that come from the soccer teams happening during this game. So, and I gotta imagine that the presence of military or the police around there is going to be very big. So I fully expect everybody's going to be safe.
Because I know a lot of the players.
Yeah.
Pags, I know a lot of the players are upset because they can't leave the hotel. Like when they go to London, they could do sightseeing. When they go to Germany, they could go sightseeing. They're not allowing them to do that. They're right to the bus, right to the stadium, right back home, get ready to go.
The NFL is doing everything they can to scare the players so that they don't go out and don't have an incident. Listen, the NFL as a whole doesn't have the best track record with players when alcohol starts to get involved and things happen. This is an area where you don't want a misstep. That's kind of what they're looking at. They don't want a misstep. And when I was in the Navy and I came here 30 years ago, on my boat, they told me the same thing. Listen, be careful out there. Like, they're going to steal your phone. They're going to steal your wallet. They're going to do all of this. That, in essence, they're telling you, make sure your head's on a swivel. Make sure you don't get into stupid situations. Pay attention to your surroundings, and everything's going to be okay. And it's the same way. It's the same way now. This is no different than being in New York City.
Okay. All right. I mean, I was in the military. I was in Korea. They said the same stuff to us. When I was down in Honduras, same stuff. I mean, all the different places we went around the world. You know, you stay together. You don't go down no back alleys. You don't drink too much. The whole 9 yards. That's exactly what they said to us.
It's not a westernized civilization.
Right.
So when you go, like the United States is a third world country. When you go to a first or a second world country, there are certain things that are much different than where you're from. You need to just be, understanding of that this is not your home. Now, everybody has seen my videos this week. They've seen me doing an Eagles chant at Christ the Redeemer. They've seen me go and run like a fool into the ocean. and it's all been applauded by the locals here. But nobody sees that back home, and they feel like that's, oh my God, you're doing so much wrong. The locals love it. They love what they're seeing. I have lots of Brazilians now doing Birds chants. I've heard a couple. I've heard a number of Eagles chants in Portuguese. And that's part of the fun. That's part of the fun of being here. So
all right.
You could live scared or you could live, and I just choose to live.
Yeah. I get it. Pags, I know you got a big party to go to. We're going to push on with the show. I'm glad you stopped in. That's the only thing I haven't done was hang glide, Pags. Only thing I haven't done. All right. I jumped 20. Good. That's nice, man. That's nice.
And actually, I landed just down the beach from here, so it was very close. It was amazing. I wanted to hang glide. I wound up paragliding, so it's a little different, but it was such an amazing experience. Being able to see Rio from that high up and just kind of floating around, almost hitting mountains and everything, and being able to control yourself. It was such a great experience.
All right, Pags. Like I said, I know you got a big party to go to. Don't get too wasted. Enjoy the game. And if you can make it on Sunday show, great. If you can't, we'll catch up to you later. You have a great night, Pags.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't think I'll be on for Sunday, but because I'll be traveling that day. So
okay, Pags.
You guys have a good
one. Good luck.
And I'll send my picks in.
Sounds good. All right, excellent. Have a good one, Pags.
Take care.
Go Birds. Yeah.
All right. So we got James in with us, and also we have our college football expert and NFL bettor, and this guy is out of control. Keith Angle.
Out of control, already.
He has gone on more cruises, I think, than anybody in the world, and he's seen as much as countries as Pags. I think I would say Keith is up there with Pags as far as traveling down, especially into the Central America way. Anyway, Keith.
Yeah, when I'm not asked to leave, I have a good time. So,
all right, cool. So I was just breaking down the Baltimore Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens Kansas City Chiefs game, and of course, we're going to break down a couple of the games, and we'll have some picks coming up. That QR code on your right-hand side, you can scan. Place your bets during the game, before the game. Bet with us. Bet against us. Probably even smarter to do. But anyways, I was kind of breaking it down and talking about Patrick Mahomes. How do you really stop this guy from coming back? He's been working with his young receivers. They're trying to get explosive again. Last year, listen, they had a good running game and they got an underrated defense. They're very physical. And how does the Baltimore Ravens stop Patrick Mahomes from coming back? Or can they? I mean, it doesn't seem like any team, James, can stop Patrick Mahomes from driving down the field at the end and scoring and winning the game. I haven't seen one yet.
Well, you've seen it. I mean, unless another team is repeated like the 72 Dolphins, I mean, they lost some games, so somebody stopped them. So, I mean, ultimately, they've gone to the Super Bowl and won. But, I mean, there is a formula for them to lose. I would think Baltimore has a really good defense. They've always had a good defense. They have a good secondary. I think Marlon Humphreys is underrated. And I like Kansas City, their additions to the receiving core. But I think that Kelsey's getting a little bit long in the tooth. This may be a time where he may be falling off a little bit. I mean, he is in his mid-30s, and Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. You can't stop him, but you may be able to control him enough to win. And I think adding Derrick Henry, even though he may be, as far as running back goes, he may be a little long in the tooth as well. But I think that dimension of the running game might help them allow Lamar Jackson to do his RPO thing and do it a little bit better because they really didn't have a really good run game outside of him and maybe one other guy who I don't know who was pretty good there. I mean, as far as outside of Lamar Jackson, I don't know if there was anybody last year that was really like that stood out outside of a premier name like Derrick Henry.
Keith, James says they stopped Patrick Mahomes during the regular season. I'm talking about postseason. There's only been one team that has been able to beat him in the last 4 years, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. He had 13 seconds. He goes on and Buffalo, scores and wins the game, and they kick a field goal. I mean, to me, Baltimore has to get out in front fast, and they have to be able to control the running game and control the clock, take time away from Patrick Mahomes if they have a chance in winning this game. Keith, what are your thoughts?
Well, there is one team that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 4 years ago destroyed Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl, but they just pressured him, didn't allow him out of the pocket, and that's the way you beat Patrick Mahomes. But it's not easy to do. The Ravens controlled Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs last year, except on third down. He continually got them out of trouble on third down in that playoff game. They had him pinned more than once, and he made play after play after play. They couldn't get off the field on third down. And that's why he's, again, to me, he's not there yet. He's the best quarterback in football for now. He's on his way to getting in that top 5 of all time. He may be in the top 5 of all time right now because he makes plays when other guys would not make them, right? That's what made Tom Brady great. He made plays when he had to make them and takes what you give him. He's another guy. Patrick Mahomes doesn't force a lot of balls, I don't think. He takes what you give him. He's sneaky good with his feet. He's not a running quarterback like Lamar Jackson, but I've never seen guys pick up so many big first downs with their feet and never really gets talked about. He beats you all kinds of ways, and that's why this team is, until you beat the champion, they're the champs. And I think I think look, they could lose this game and it will mean absolutely nothing.
Right.
But
I agree with that too, because it's regular season. The only thing is, we say Lamar Jackson can do what he can do. He'll be able to do RPOs. He's been doing that. And the Baltimore Ravens have one of the best rushing teams for the last 3 or 4 years in the league. And a majority of that's because of course, of Lamar Jackson. But it's not like they don't have any running backs. And last year, it wasn't the running of Lamar Jackson. It was the passing of Lamar Jackson at the end of the game. They still had a chance of winning it. And until Lamar Jackson shows me that he can make the big throws at the end of the game, I don't know. And I know it's a regular season game, but yet it means a lot to Baltimore. If Baltimore doesn't win this game, I mean, what is the outcry going to be? What is it going to be? We can't beat the Chiefs?
Probably, but listen, they could very well win this game. Lamar Jackson is a great regular season quarterback. He's a great regular season quarterback. They could come out here and play really, really well. Because again, it's different. Things are different, and betting games is different in the playoffs. And to use that, since we're talking about bet us, right? I mean, betting games in the regular season is a whole lot different than betting games in the playoffs. And I bet on Lamar Jackson a lot in the regular season and never in the playoffs.
Yes. I'm not trying to take anything away from Lamar Jackson because he is a great quarterback in modern NFL. He is.
Yeah.
And he's a big playmaker. He really is. But again, Derrick Henry is going to add something. It's not going to stop Lamar Jackson from running, CJ. Good evening, CJ Desmond. It's not going to stop Lamar Jackson from running. He's still going to run with the ball. I mean, what's going to be the big change? Maybe they eat up more clock? Maybe is that what it is, CJ?
Look, I mean, if Lamar Jackson doesn't find a way to beat Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, I'm sorry, but there is going to be a lot of people that are still going to continue to, I guess, beat up on Lamar Jackson, saying that he can't win the big one. Now, as unfair as that may be, until you go out there and you beat the best, unfortunately, this is what's going to happen. It is what it is. So the only way to go out there and to quiet the crowd is to do what you're not supposed to do, which is beat Patrick Mahomes. And unfortunately, the Ravens have not figured out a way how to do that. Now, that being said, they did go and add a couple of weapons, made a couple of adjustments this offseason. So they are coming into this game versus the Chiefs with a little bit of a different look. Whether or not it has an effect or not, that solely goes on coaching, it goes on the players, or what have you. But until you do it, people are going to continue looking at you saying you cannot win the big one.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I like the Chiefs. I think there's something about Lamar Jackson when the pressure's on, something happens to him. He's not a common cool guy like a Joe Montana or a Patrick Mahomes. He gets very emotional, and I don't think as a quarterback in the NFL under big games you can be that way. I think you can't be yelling and screaming and throwing your helmet down because they follow your lead. They really follow your lead. It's okay to pump them up. It's another thing to be throwing fits on the sideline or even on the game when you're throwing the ball down because they sacked you and you're yelling. To me, that's not how a leader acts as a quarterback. I mean, you can be.
What are you
intense.
talking about? I've seen Tom Brady. They call him Psycho Tom for a reason.
I was actually going to say that. Go ahead, James. I'm sorry. I think
I mean, the greatest quarterback, arguably in the game, goes nuts on the sideline sometimes. I've seen several great quarterbacks go nuts on the sideline. Peyton Manning, him and Jeff Saturday going at it. I mean, I've seen it. People get heated. It happens.
They earned the right to do
There's
that.
a difference.
Tom Brady did not do that until he'd won a couple of Super Bowls, by the way. Just
number one. And there you go. That's one part of it. The second part of it is he's yelling at the players to inspire them. Lamar Jackson wasn't yelling at them to inspire them. He's throwing down his helmet. He's going onto the bench, screaming and yelling. He's not going over there pumping them up. From what I saw, I watched the damn game. He's throwing a fit. He's throwing a football down the field after he gets sacked. And it's not – listen, all I'm saying is when you're on that football field, and I know everybody has their different ways of doing things. If you're going to be a leader, the team is going to follow you. If you're going to be emotional, upset, frantic, anxious, the team's going to follow that too. That's all I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with getting the team psyched up, yelling at your offensive line. Let's go, let's get this going. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a difference between that and throwing a fit and going sitting on the bench and throwing your helmet down. That's a big difference, man. That's all I'm saying, James.
Does winning or losing really change anybody's opinion of Lamar Jackson this week? To me, it doesn't change my opinion of him either way. If he plays and wins or plays and loses, it isn't going to matter because it's week one. There'll be overreactions both ways. If the Chiefs lose, if Baltimore should beat up the Chiefs at home, we're all going to say, well, the Chiefs dynasty's over and Lamar Jackson's over the hump, right? Which will be a huge overreaction. I mean, it's September, not February or even January. So
I agree with that.
To be honest with you.
I think it's a lot more important that the Ravens win this than the Chiefs. How's that? I really do. I think that the Ravens need this more than the Chiefs need it this week. So anyway, let's go on to Friday's game. And I just had the Philly sports guy on here, and he's saying that don't worry. He's flying. He's sailing. He's parasailing. He's down in Rio right now. He's not where the game is. He's in Rio right now. Nothing's going to happen. The NFL is scaring people. Blah blah blah. Listen, from the players' mouths, they don't want to go. They don't want to go there. It's a business thing, and they don't want to go because they can't go out sightseeing. They got to go to the hotel. They got to stay in the hotel. They get on the bus. They go to the stadiums. They get back in the bus. They go back to the hotel. They go to the airport, and they're gone. London. It's not London. It's not Germany. It's in Brazil, where the gang colors are green. The NFL, in its wisdom, decides to put two teams that have green uniforms on display down in Brazil. What do you guys think before we get to the picks? Is this a big mistake by the NFL? Do we need to go to Brazil to expand the NFL? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, CJ?
No, I just, there is a part of, oh man, there is a part of me that really just gets aggravated with this because I just feel like this is just a huge money grab. I mean, I get that football is popular in the United States. I get that the NFL wants to expand and go overseas and go to different countries to promote the NFL, to try to get fans of different ethnic origin to follow the NFL. I get it. I do. But this is asinine. You are literally putting people in a danger zone to promote a product where one of your players could be seriously injured, if not killed. And down here in Brazil, okay, they kidnap people. Guess what? They kidnap people for ransom. Okay? It goes on all over in South America. So it's like whoever it was who thought of this idea probably did not do their homework in regards to this. Because as beautiful as a place as Brazil is, and pictures and so on and so forth, go talk to the people that live there. Go talk to the people that are there day in and day out and see what kind of environment it really is. Because underneath all of the beautiful pictures and the landscapes and so on and so forth, okay, there is a cesspool of crime that is going on there that is completely uncontrolled. So I mean, I may be in the minority on this. It's one thing to go to Europe. It really is. Why? Because back in the early 90s, we had the World League of American Football. Okay, the great experiment that flopped. All right, that's one thing. To go to South America, I mean, we're not talking about Mexico. All right, it's just this to me is nothing more than a money grab. I personally feel like the risk outweighs the reward. Because as a business, okay, put it this way. The NFL is a business, gentlemen, correct? All right, so let's all say we all work for the same business, okay? And let's say our CEO says, hey, Mac, we're going to send you on a business trip to Rio to go talk to this person or this person. Or Keith, we're going to send you to Panama to go talk to this person and this person. Or James, we're going to send you, you know what? We're going to send you to Argentina to go talk to this person and this person. Okay? So the company's going to finance it. Am I going to get protection? What happens if something happens to me? What happens if something happens to one of you guys there? What if James goes to Argentina and he gets kidnapped? And all of a sudden there's videos all over YouTube with you know, 5 guys behind him with like bags over their heads, and somebody's over there standing behind him with a freaking machete at his throat saying, give us $1 million or he's gonna die. You know, in whatever language. Okay? We are just literally seconds from something like that happening. The same thing could happen to Max. The same thing could happen to Keith. The same thing could happen to Mexico. You can get kidnapped by one of the drug cartels.
Well, I'm wearing red.
Because you're American.
CJ, they would probably pay, you know, for me to go. How's that? They would probably end up paying for me to go. And I agree with Danny. Why does James got to go to Argentina? I mean, we'll flip flop if you want, James.
Why not?
Honestly, though, without and listen, I get it, and I kind of agree with what CJ's saying. But Keith, isn't the NFL one of the most popular, at least the Super Bowl, things around the world anyway? Why do we have to go anywhere?
I don't think we do. I agree with CJ at that point. I mean, listen, they've taken this global expansion. It's not like they're going to put teams there. They talk about this every few years. Oh, maybe we'll put a team there. No, they're never putting a team in Brazil or Germany or England. That's never going to happen. So it's just, again, it is a money grab. They want to go there. They want to sell jerseys. That's what they want to do. And I think CJ might be upset because there's years they probably would have liked it if they sent the Jets there and they're green and they all got kidnapped. He might have been.
Listen, I couldn't be that lucky.
James, not only shirts, I can see them getting some kind of sponsorship, some kind of channel, something down there in Argentina that they'll pay the NFL for. It's all money. It's all business, isn't it, Jay?
I mean, in Brazil, right? There's too big. Everybody thinks
You're
going
going
on.
Argentina.
That's right.
Let's say, look, like Danny Fuller just said, Brazil sells up 800%. The NFL is a marketing machine. You can't tell me they don't have everybody in that department just know everything that's calculated. They have to understand what's going on right there. I think the fact that that everyone's mentioning the danger there brings more attention to the NFL. Is going to bring more attention to this game because people are looking to see if something's going to happen. It's going to bring viewership, and that's going to be internationally. So it's going to bring more money to the NFL. So it's just good publicity, bad publicity. It's all good publicity. It's just going to bring more notoriety to the NFL as if they didn't have enough already. I agree to all of you to an extent that, yes, you are putting players at risk, but the NFL itself stands for not for long. It's a dangerous game in itself. Right. So they're already being put at risk. So I don't think it's a mindset to thinking, okay, there's a chance that we might get hurt. I'm pretty sure they put a lot of things in place to make sure. I mean, what is the NFL worth? I mean, they make 30-something billion a year or something like that. It's a major conglomerate. I don't think that they have enough money and power to make sure that things are going to go right in Brazil. So I'm not. If they're not worried, I'm definitely not worried. If I'm the players, stay in the hotel, don't go anywhere. Just follow the rules and go to Brazil, play your game, come back home.
And who's to
Hanks
say
doesn't have any private security or anything, does he? He seems fine. I mean, yes. If these teams wearing green, I'll bet you we wouldn't even be having a conversation probably if they were wearing blue or purple. This probably never even.
And who's to say something doesn't happen stateside, right? That's a possibility too at any time. So I mean,
very good point.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about Friday's game. In fact, as far as what you think is who's going to win, who's not going to win, I kind of like the Eagles here. I think just because they're experienced beginning of the season, I think, the Packers have the youngest team in the NFL. I think their average age is like 25-something years old. I still think they're working on things. I think they're going to be good this year. I just think in the beginning, I give it to the experienced team. The team that's been playing long enough together. And, even though the Eagles have added some pieces, most of those are very experienced players too. So I do like the Eagles and given the 2.5, 3 points, whatever it is right now. What do you think, Keith? What's your thoughts on that?
I'm going to take the Packers only because who knows about any one of these teams? I don't know anything about any of these teams because nobody's played in the preseason, basically. It's similar to college last week. It's all crapshoot till you see somebody play. The last picture I have in my head of the Eagles is, the last 2 months of last year, which is very ugly. And I can't get that out of my head because that doesn't go away when all the major players that were involved in this are still there. And for that reason, I think there'll be some hangover and I like the Packers in this game. And it's a good young team.
It's probably going to be very true. And with it being the first game, James, I think it's going to be very sloppy. I think you might see some turnovers. You might see some penalties. That might decide the game. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think it's going to be even more sloppy than the Baltimore Ravens versus the Chiefs, believe it or not.
Mac, that's very fair to say because a lot of the players, like you folks alluded to, didn't play in the preseason. And as you always say, the first 4 or 5 games are pretty much the preseason, and so there's a lot of kinks to iron out. And I wouldn't be surprised to see turnovers or fumbles, missed calls, and penalties for offsides. Because no one's ironed those details out in preseason as you'd like to see, but it just didn't happen. But I really think that the Eagles, I just like their roster. And I really, regardless of the problems they had at the previous season, last season, I really think they're going to come together. It's going to take time, but I can see the Eagles winning this one due to their experience, as you said. I take the -2.5 as well.
They are a very talented team. I will not deny that, by the way. Very talented team, for sure.
DJ, I would think by the roster alone that you would give the Eagles defense would be a little bit better than the Packers defense, right? Just by last year, I would think the Eagles are a little bit more better on defense. Saquon Barkley versus Jacobs, I think that might be even. The wide receivers, I think you would give the edge to the Eagles just because of A.J. Brown. And in fact, they picked up another receiver. But it all, as Keith said, I mean, it all depends. Are they going to work together well as a team?
This should be a very interesting litmus test, but I think not really for the Eagles. I think more for the Packers. And I'm very curious to see how Jordan Love comes out and performs, especially against a tough defense like the Eagles. Now, that being said, I feel like a lot of people are overlooking the Packers in this case. And I really don't think that the Packers are a team that can be overlooked anymore. So I definitely expect a very good competitive game. And I think that, believe it or not, if the Eagles can't find a way to work out the kinks, I think the Packers could actually catch the Eagles napping. This is a very, very this is such a wide open game where, I mean, I don't even think the 2 points is enough. I would drop this to a pick 'em personally if it was me. But I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say the Packers pull off the upset.
Okay. Listen, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I know it's going to be very close, and anything can happen, of course, in the first game. Again, they're not at full strength, and the Eagles, when they are at full strength, is normally in the beginning of the year, as we saw last year, and the Packers are normally at full strength at the end of the year, if you're going to use last year as a gauge. So, Keith, let's talk a little college here. USC, I think, shocked a lot of people because of their defense and their running game. I mean,
poor James.
If you look at LSU, and I am so glad James is not that I don't like LSU. I hate their head coach. I'm sorry. I hate Kelly. I hate what he did to Notre Dame. I hate he went there because he could recruit better and he could get better athletes and all this happy horse shit he said. And right now he hasn't won an opening game since he's been there. So I'm cheering madly for Kelly to lose almost every game he can. Nothing against LSU. All right. So LSU,
as he says that with a grin on his face.
I mean, Kelly slams down his hand. They were celebrating on the sidelines before the game was over. A sloppy play. And I'm looking at the guy and I'm saying, whose fault? Why are you talking about the players? Why can't you say you don't have control over the LSU players? Why don't you look back at yourself, be honest with yourself, and say you can't handle having a big school like that to control? Why don't you just be honest about it, Keith? Moss goes 27 for 36, 378 yards. The running game, I mean, they just tore LSU's defense up, which LSU normally you can't run that good against, right? I mean, it was beautiful to me. I loved it, Sergeant. I loved every second of it. What do you think, Keith?
This has become, Brian Kelly's MO here. They can't win his opening game. They seem to have a big flop the last 4 years he's had it, both at Notre Dame and at LSU. And not that this game's going to matter come the end of the season. if they had the type of season they're capable of having, it could be this game won't mean anything, and it could be USC's not that as good as we saw the other night. But what really impressed me was USC's defense played very well, I think, against a LSU offense that, yeah, they're replacing a Heisman Trophy winner, but they have a pretty good quarterback back there. I thought USC played very well. Brian Kelly, that's Brian Kelly. I think he's a good football coach. I think, but you're right. He should say, to me, everything he talked about in that press conference was the coach's issues. If your players are celebrating on the sideline and you don't have them under control, that's a coaching decision or issue. If you're playing sloppy, that's a coaching issue. If you think you got the game in the bag and you don't, they had the game they were in control of that game in the fourth quarter, and they should have won that game.
Oh,
Maybe even by more than by a couple of touchdowns, I think.
Well, at least,
Oh my God.
Keith, at least at the end of the game. Let me tell you, I was not in a good mood prior to that, and then just watch that game, and to watch 2nd and 8 with 1 minute and 48 seconds left, you throw the ball. That's not even logical football. I don't understand that, because they only have one timeout left. You run the ball is third at minimum is 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9.
Yep.
In college, they give you what, 40 seconds?
40. Yep.
They give you 40 seconds. What are you doing? You just gave them 2 timeouts. At that point, I knew the game was over.
Players didn't make. By the way, the players didn't make that call either. So come on.
That's on the coach. Yes,
right. He's got it. And I like Brian Kelly, but go up there and take responsibility for why you lost the game. And it was, to me, it's all on the coaches, all of it.
Yes.
CJ, how about you? I mean, who's your favorite college football team? Is it up here in New York area?
No, believe it or not, but actually, when I used to be a Florida Gators fan, I do follow them, but I follow them rather sort of like from a distance. But honestly, I don't have a football team. I'm a graduate of St. John's University that used to have a football team that played in the Liberty Conference, which I think was like all of six teams. So they were never good enough at Division I football. So my alma mater was basically irrelevant when it came to football. So as far as college is concerned, I'm just starting to just be a little bit more entertained, because I kind of look at it as more of the NFL minor leagues than anything.
Well, I mean, it definitely is. That's for sure. You definitely could call it that, and you'd be 100% right. I got 3 games, Keith, I want you guys' opinion on. And, of course, as I told you before, we got that QR code up there. And, we'll go to our expert first, who predicted USC to win a big time there. And we'll see what he's got to say on these 3 games. Appalachian State versus Clemson. Appalachian State getting 17 points, Keith. Can the big school slayer at least keep this game close against Clemson? Will Clemson have a hangover for last week, or they come out and they just go crazy?
This game's at Clemson. I can't believe Clemson's as bad as they looked last week. I mean, they were outclassed in every aspect of the game. They looked less athletic. Dabo Swinney's got some pressure on him just because of his approach to building a team is not keeping up with today's realities. Appalachian State's beat some big time division. Well, they are Division I now. Even when they were 1AA, they were beating 1A teams. So I'll give them a fighting chance. What was the spread in this game?
17 points, Keith.
A lot of points.
I know it's tough.
Clemson's going to win this game, but I would take the points in the Appalachian State here.
Okay.
Clemson
all right.
will win,
and I'll get to you at 3 on all 3 picks here. Ole Miss is a new powerhouse. They're using the portal right. They're giving up 40 points to Middle Tennessee, Keith. Should it be 60?
I fell for that trap taking 39.5 with Temple against Oklahoma last week. Mississippi won by 70. I believe they won 70 or 76 to nothing last week.
Yes,
Lane Kiffin's
yes.
not afraid to keep the gas, the gas to the floor, the pedal to the floor. I'll lay the 40 in this game because they are loaded. And by the way, style points matter. Style points are going to matter. It's for a lot of these teams that aren't going to win the conferences and they're going to be looking for large bids. These style points will matter. So I think they'll absolutely cover that 40.
All right. And the last one is Alabama minus 31 against Southern Florida. Southern Florida has had some good teams in the past, Keith. They've come in, they've competed really well. In fact, they've won their division a couple times, if I'm not mistaken. Are they that good this year?
South Florida gave Alabama all they could handle last year, and it kind of woke up that Nick Saban's last Alabama team. They were pretty good from that point on. Again, these games with these big spreads are going to be important to Kalen DeBoer in his first year here at Alabama before he gets into the heart of that SEC schedule. Let's say Alabama wins this game and covers the spread.
Wow, interesting. I'll have
Milroe, the quarterback Milroe is built for Kalen DeBoer's offense. He's going to be better than he ever was under Nick Saban. Not because DeBoer's a better coach, just this system fits Milroe perfectly. I think they'll win by a lot.
Well, I'll have 3 more games for you on Friday. Of course, the big one I'll have for you on Friday, and we all know what the big game is going to be on Saturday, the biggest game of on the Saturday schedule. Anyway, James, any different thoughts here? I mean, as Keith said, and I love Appalachian State because they're a very competitive game. They'll play anybody tough. They might beat you with a field goal late if you're not awake. And to me, Clemson, I mean, listen, Clemson is doing it all wrong. If Clemson gets upset, I don't know what's going to happen over there with their head coach. I have a good feeling about Appalachian State here with those points.
I don't think Appalachian State is going to win the game. I think Clemson's going to bounce back and win that game, but I don't give them the points. I think the game is going to be a little closer than people think. I think it'll be a little closer, but I can't say Clemson's gonna lose that one, man.
All right, so
no upset there, but they don't cover.
You're gonna take the points, okay? And are you with Keith about with Ole Miss? Ole Miss is just a powerhouse this year. I mean, I
think Ole Miss is definitely gonna cover that for sure.
How about your thoughts on South Florida? Can they?
This is where I have to disagree with Keith. I don't know. 31 is a lot, man. For South Florida, we'll see. I don't think they're going to cover, but I think that Alabama's going to win that game for sure. Yeah.
All right.
I don't think they're going to cover 31.
So CJ, I know you're looking at the college football as a minor league. So I'm going to first go with this comment to you. I don't know if you saw the interview with Stephen A. Smith and Tom Brady, and no, Tom Brady has books and binders of every game from every year that he played since he was in football, with the game plan and the notes and the preparation. It's all there. He can go back and look at it anytime he wants. Tom Brady came out and said, "Hey, listen, the problem starting a rookie quarterback, and most from his generation, around that generation, didn't start opening game." And he said the problem with that is that a rookie quarterback cannot understand how complicated the offensive game plan is, how complicated the defenses are up against them. So what they do is they dumb down the offense. And the quarterback that goes out there, the rookie quarterback that goes out there, doesn't know how to call an audible. Most times he doesn't even call a timeout. And he ends up running the play anyway. And he either gets sacked, or it's a bad throw, or it's an interception. So this is why he has a problem with rookie quarterbacks starting. Now, C.J. Stroud's an exception because you saw what he did last year. But he's saying the majority of the time, it's a real bad idea to start the rookie quarterbacks. That causes their downfall.
It's absolutely a bad idea to start a rookie quarterback, especially when a lot of the rookie quarterbacks that are being picked in the first round, especially high up in the first round, you have teams that just got off an absolutely abysmal season. So you know that there's already personnel issues, whether it be offensive line, defensive line, whether it be secondary, whether it be the running game, skill position players. starting a rookie quarterback, you're essentially just setting them up to fail. And I personally think that rookie quarterbacks should not start in the NFL for at least the first year. I think their first year, when you go in, you should go, sit, red shirt, hold a clipboard, watch tape, and learn the game. Because if you don't, you're going to go out there and your head's going to be swimming.
Listen, Keith. CJ, I agree with you for the most part. If there's an emergency, Keith, if the starting quarterback gets hurt, like with Tom Brady, he had to go in for Drew Bledsoe, and that's fine. I mean, and he learned a lot then. But the offense was right, and the offense was kind of dumbed down for him. I mean, he didn't run all the plays that they could have run according to himself. I mean, until he learned, what the preparation was. Again, CJ Stroud, a different story. Maybe he learns faster. I don't know what happened with CJ Stroud. But for the most part, even if you look Dan Marino, you look at I think Don Strock was a starter then. Joe Montana, Steve DeBerg was a starter then. I mean, you could go down the list of all these great quarterbacks that at least, didn't take over until something happened or the second, third year.
Well, it's not like every quarterback. I mean, Andrew Luck, I think, came in and threw for like 4,500 yards and 30 touchdowns, and they went to the playoffs in his rookie year. So it's not everyone. Cam Newton had a good first year. Ben Roethlisberger had a good first year. Ben Marino played in his rookie year. He played 11 or 12 games, so they benched the starter. So they didn't start the season. I don't think it's necessary that a rookie, it all depends on the situation, has to sit out his first year. Now, the instances I just gave, those teams are pretty good football teams too. To CJ's point, Drake May for the Patriots needs to sit. He was the best quarterback by the end of camp. There should be no choice for him to play, no consideration for him to play behind that awful offensive line. You just set him up to fail. So it all depends on the situation. There are situations where quarterbacks can play, if not out of the gate, then early in their first season. But for the most part, if they're going to be on a bad team, they're right. You're better off carrying the clipboard around. Don't get yourself killed out there. Don't lose your confidence, and just wait your turn. And you'd probably be better off, except for, again, a handful of exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, I mean, even if you look at the great Patrick Mahomes, I mean, Alex Smith had a playoff team. He sat and he watched for a year, even though, maybe Patrick Mahomes could have done it. James, I just think there's something, and especially coming from Tom Brady, that makes a lot of sense. Because Keith can name some quarterbacks that maybe had a good rookie year and then fell back. Right. Or that started out. I'll give you a great example. Kurt Warner, they put in Eli Manning halfway through the season. It was a disaster. Mac Jones had a good first year. Second year, a disaster. I mean, I think it has a lot to do with coaching. And I think he's got a great point that they have to be on a good team. But even with that, you can, again, Patrick Mahomes, you can look at Aaron Rodgers, you can look at a lot of players that didn't start right away.
I mean, there's several variables that come into factor. I mean, like you said, you have a good coach, you have a good organization, the structured organization, leadership. You got veterans on the team that really know how to coach up people that are like junior coaches on the field, on generals that have taken the quarterback under his wing, maybe a backup quarterback, a veteran quarterback that has been in the game a long time, that's not afraid to say, hey, you're the one, you beat me on this job, but I'm going to show you some things that I've learned here that you don't know. You're not going to know little nuances that you're not going to know that I'm going to teach you to guide you along. That's not always there for everybody. Sometimes these guys get thrown in the fire, and most guys that are picked high usually go to really crappy teams, and so they get put in a situation where they're in a no-win situation. Like you said, the situation in Houston, that's the exception, not the rule. You really don't see that.
I kept this comment up by Scott because this is exactly what Tom Brady was talking about. the reason why a lot of these young rookie quarterbacks get sacked, let's stop blaming the offensive line because they're holding the ball on too long.
Well, that's true.
They're trying to make a play because the guy's not open. So they didn't change the play. They called the play right into the teeth of the defense. So now he's standing there and he's holding the ball for 4 or 5 seconds. And he said, and what Tom Brady says is, we got to stop blaming the offensive line so much and start blaming the quarterbacks.
I will tell you my comments about the Patriot offensive line stand. That is one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen, by the way. So that one is bad.
Yes. And you've seen a lot.
By the way, about Eli Manning falling backwards, I wish he fell a little further backwards back in.
Well,
In 2007, you mean?
7 and 12, yes.
Yes.
Real quick, we ain't got a lot of time. We got about 4 minutes before Keith takes off and does his show right after us, the College Football Huddle, which is a great show, folks. Stay tuned on Roku after that. A couple comments. Phillies with Schwarber hits 3 home runs. The Phillies, listen, a lead is not safe with the Phillies. The Phillies are going to come back and get you. You got to have good pitching to beat the Phillies. I think that's pretty simple. Clay Holmes I don't know if we can depend on him to be a closer for the Yankees. I mean, he falls apart. This happens to the Yankees bullpen every year. And what else we got here? Arizona still keeping pace with the Dodgers. Any comments on that at all, guys?
I'm afraid to say anything about the Yankees anymore. I don't want to lose my card again. Jesus. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the problems, the Yankees have the same problem going into the postseason as they've had for the last 5 or 6 years, right? The back end of the bullpen is spotty at best. They don't score runs unless they're hitting home runs, and they've got 2 guys that are carrying the entire offense, and I wouldn't pitch to either one of them in a postseason. And listen, the Diamondbacks are playing great baseball. They're fun to watch, by the way, because to me, they play a little bit more. They know how to score runs without hitting home runs. That's why I liked them last year. They were fun to watch. And they play good. They play good fundamental baseball, and they're trying to chase the Dodgers down, but I don't think they will. But they'll be dangerous in the postseason for sure.
I agree. CJ, James, any thoughts? No. All right. Good. That was simple. Folks, of course.
Keith said it all.
Of course, we have Keith on after this. Stay with Roku. Just channel search. Go to your Roku TV channel search National Streaming Sports, and you'll see Keith coming up next, and we'll have a bunch of shows after this. And also, listen, Sunday we have the big football show. We're going to have live games. We also have a new show at 7 p.m. called NFL Download, where we're going to be covering all the games that happened in the Sunday night game. It's going to be a lot of fun, folks. So we're going to give you the best shows we can at the most times we can, all day, all night, every day, 24/7. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the views. Everyone have a great Wednesday night. And remember, stay with Roku. Take care, folks.